This week on To the Contrary, Senator Barack Obama and Mike Huckabee win Iowa's caucuses and the women's vote. Then, women business owners take on the Small Business Administration. Behind the headlines, playing with the boys, why some think sex-segregated sports is holding women back.
Are just a part of the political equation. If Senator Clinton is unable to get the support of the vast majority of Democratic voters, she cannot win the nomination.
But one thing she did in Iowa, which was not to win younger women's support. She still won older women's support. But is there something special about Iowa, or a huge number or percentage of younger women turned out that won't be replicated in other states?
Iowa is just... It's sort of a phantom. Iowa and New Hampshire, I guess, are the two whitest states in America, so I don't know what to say about Iowa, but here's what we do know. Senator Clinton has banked on women. She has banked on, and she's also banked on getting the vast majority of the African-American support. If women across the nation do what they did in Iowa last night, she's got problems. She's also got another problem because African-Americans who have not supported Obama are now saying that if this black man can win in the whitest state in the nation, maybe we should vote for him. If she loses the vote of women, if she loses the votes of African Americans, it signals that there's some serious problems in him.
So should we scrap a program that has a guideline of 5% that was set 14 years ago and still haven't gotten that much closer to it?
No, I don't think we need to scrap it, but I think, one of the things I'd like to point out, and I hope people would recognize, is that companies like Baby Einstein Company and California Babies and Martha Stewart and Oprah Winfrey, I think pretty clearly demonstrate that women don't need a boost from the federal government.
Yeah, but you're talking about a country with 7.7 million firms, two-thirds of which are owned by women, but they are in the tiny minority. There are very few billion-dollar women-owned businesses, very few of them, and very many of them owned by men or stockholders or what have you. So, I mean, when women-owned businesses make up two-thirds of all businesses, but they still get less than 5% of government contracts for which they compete very hard.
Irene, isn't it possible that there are going to be a lot of very smart women who are going to sit down and look at this in the opposite direction and say, well, here's an opportunity for me to open a business that deals with homeland security and international
there will be some.
So first of all, I like boosting women-owned and operated businesses in fields where they are underrepresented.
I really want to meet the bureaucrat, by the way, who came up with these four random categories. Please invite this person onto the show. Listen, this whole system is broken. I mean, let's just take a walk down sort of practical lane, in my view. In practice, the reality is that most of these women who are even counted in the 2%, 3%, it's grown very little, by the way, since Bush was president, hires a woman to walk in and take a meeting. Once they get the contract, they're lucky if they don't fire the woman, and if they do keep her on, she's in a peripheral role. So a lot of times this isn't even legitimate in terms of minority contracting. The reality is...
I think there's some of that, but I think if you looked at the data, there are also, and more often than just bringing somebody in for a meeting, frequently it's a husband-wife co-owned business.
Yes.
In front the wife, but he really runs the business. So there's some of that.
Right.
But there's also a lot of women-owned businesses that went from very small to considerable because they got government contracts through this program.
What I would like to see come out of this, because I think you're exactly right that this is very important, and I think you're pointing that out too, I would like to see a broader discussion, because the reality is that government is bogged down in red tape and bureaucracy, and part of the problem is implementing these regulations. People don't know where to start. I would like to see what we did, for instance, in Pennsylvania, and a lot of governors do in states, to have small business centers that cater to women, try to give them the resources to help them, and find ways on a more grassroots level.
Actually, there are such centers. There are women's.
I want more of them, is what I'm saying.
Well, but they can't implement something that is very limited, and small business centers are
apparently neither can the government.
I'm appalled with the general notion that in order to grow a business, we need government help to do it. I mean, I don't think.
Welcome to the world of small business.
But that's just not. Plenty of small businesses never get a government contract and develop into very large businesses. Michelle actually named a few run by women that have done that very thing. I'm not saying that we shouldn't try to encourage women to get these contracts, but the whole thing about everybody's got to get part of the government dole is just, it's outrageous.
All right, it's out right now, and we have to go on to the next topic behind the headlines. Sex segregation in sports. The passage of Title IX in 1972 no doubt changed sports in America forever by requiring equality in men's and women's college programs. Some think, rather controversially, that the separate but equal model of athletics only holds women back. The new book, Playing with the Boys, explains why.
Any women who want to play on the court with Shaq, or well, they might want to play on the football field with Tom Brady, but that's for a different reason.
They're clamoring. They're being oppressed. They're clamoring with so many people.
This is not holding women back. I mean, I competed on track and field against boys. I had a sister who played on the boys' tennis team. Tennis and track and field, and in some sports it makes sense. But to say that this is holding women back it's lunacy.
That's it for this edition of To the Contrary. Next week, online networking for Latinas. Please join us on the web for To the Contrary Extra. And whether your views are in agreement or to the contrary, please join us next time.